Hello. Is this thing on? Hell yeah, it is. Cool. Okay. Okay, hi. Hello. Welcome tonight. Tonight, I'm very excited because E3 brings exciting things, right? Yes, no, I don't know. Hi, welcome anyone who's stopped by and actually come in on time. Sup. Hope everyone's having a good Wednesday night. So tonight or we being me, I am bringing to you all one of my favorite games. This was a game that got announced actually a while back to have a remake coming, so I kind of already knew about this, but it was one of those things where they just said, uh, "Oh, it's that veggie smuggler was very." Yes, he was very excited. He ran ran all the way across our office to tell me. But yeah, they during E3 Nintendo's conference specifically, something that I think got maybe looked over a little bit by a lot of people, but something that made me very happy was a remake was announced. A remake of Panzer Dragoon. Let me hold that so there's nothing reflecting. Panzer Dragoon on the Sega Saturn. So this game, okay. Uh, the remake was announced maybe like a year ago. No, like less than a year ago. This got announced for a remake and is really cool because this series is one of Sega's many forgotten IPs that they've just kind of let sit in the coffers for a while. And I get it, you know, things change. Not everything can survive. Sometimes you just get a cool few games in a series, and that is what it is. But this series is near and dear to my heart because I discovered this way back in the good old days of the original Xbox. Because the fourth and technical final game in the series, Panzer Dragoon Orta, was kind of like a send off for. Drop frames. Let me see here. Well, let me see. If that keeps happening, we can do some testing because I haven't streamed in a while. So forgive anything. Let me know of any quality issues. Everything seems fine on my end. I'm not getting a weird reading. But anyway, I'll keep going. If things get bad, wave your hands. Panzer Dragoon was on Xbox, and in the Xbox game, which you can still download right now, you can Omega Low yourself all the way to the Xbox store. Or if you have it, it's backwards compatible on original Xbox. If you finish this game once, you can die as many times as you want. Just play to the main campaign. You get to unlock the Sega Saturn original Panzer Dragoon. And that was me in middle school, kind of just figuring out, wow, this is really cool. But enough talk about it. We'll talk about it more as I go through. Let's actually pop my old faithful Sega Saturn on and see if this thing still works. Uh-oh, what language should we pick? Now we'll go with good old English, just as Sega intended. Oh, I'm not hearing a game come in for that. The audio is not pushing on my end. Give me 1 second. Set this up earlier and it should be fine. But now it's being a little funny and that's okay. No, nothing's coming in there either. That's really strange. We can fix this as we go. Let's see. Line in game. So if I do something that doesn't do anything, yeah, you guys can watch me fix this stream on the fly. Let's see what happens when I go under my desk and put some wires around. Uh, hmm. Sorry for that. I'm trying to figure out what the hell's going on with this game. Excuse me. I really much apologize. Okay, how about now? The best time to fix all these issues is clearly live. So why am I not getting that in my headphones? I had this set up just fine earlier. Wonderful. Huh. I don't understand. That's unfortunate. Okay, well, whatever. It looks like everything else is running fine on my end. But, yeah, here's the crazy-ass plot of Panzer Dragoon. It's set in this far-flung future where crazy things are happening. That's all that matters. Bunch of crazy excavations have been going on at this crazy tower. And the bad guys have some crazy old dark dragon. That's the whole point. The fate of the world rests on the wings of an armored blue dragon. Yeah. Look at this. Look at this high quality CG from way back in the day. It's like 1995. So this was a launch game for Sega Saturn. You know, so put that in perspective. Hell yeah, Future Dragons. Welcome anyone who's stepping through. Let me know if you can hear things. For some reason, I can't hear on my end, probably because that's just how it was fated to be. But it looks like the audio is pushing through fine for the stream, which honestly is fine with me because I know this game fairly well, so I don't 100% need to hear it. But I would actually like to, so I'm gonna kind of like silently. Okay, you got sound. Okay, that's good. Well, huh. I'll figure out how to pump the sound in my ears while we're doing this. But yeah, Future Dragons. This game is wild. One of Sega's many. Wait, what the hell? Oh, it's coming in. I don't know. But yeah, this is one of Sega's many. I don't want to say forgotten, but slowly put to sleep series, but thankfully not anymore. Of the many hype announcements from Nintendo's Direct, we got confirmation that the Panzer Dragoon remakes that are coming, at least the remakes of the first two games, are going to be coming to Switch, and we got a trailer for it. And this was a real hype moment for me because I had kind of forgotten that those remakes had got announced. I was like, oh yeah, because when they got announced like a couple months ago, maybe even like 6-8 months ago, people were just like, oh cool, like anyone who cares about that saw it, and then nothing was shown for it. You know, it's one of those things where it's like, well, I'll look at that when I look at it. But Nintendo just dropped it right there in the middle of the stream with a bunch of other really cool stuff. And that like I almost fell out of, because I was at work watching it. I almost like fell out of my desk chair when I heard the music for this come on. You'll hear the music at the title screen. It's a very how do I say it the right way? It's a very I don't know, like bombastic, like big, like orchestral feel to it. I'm letting this whole trailer roll in the beginning, by the way. So we got this boy who is weirdly missing from the remake trailer. I don't know if that was intentional or that was just like their build they showed with the sick trailer and then they'll fix it later. But that's kind of always an integral thing with these games, is that usually you're playing as like a main character boy or girl in Orta. And this is not his dragon. This is just this little weird future Star Wars pet thing that he's riding around on. But he does eventually get his dragon as he finds it in this dark, dank cave. That's usually how these games go. Is like there's usually a boy and or young person who ends up befriending a really cool cyber future dragon, and that's how it goes. Oh man, why do I have no sound? I really want to talk about some of the sounds. Looks like all my volumes are there. That's annoying. Oh well, I'll figure it out. But if you've played this series, hey, then you know it's fun. These games play kind of like a Star Fox 64-ish 3D rail shooter kind of thing, except for the third game. The third game, Panzer Dragoon Saga, is a big ol' highfalutin RPG that I would actually very much love to stream. and I'm actually considering doing it now that this remake has been announced of the first game, because unfortunately that game is like ridiculously hard to come by, and I got my copy of it like 10, 12 years ago when like I thought that was an absurdly high price to pay for a game at the time, but now like what people ask for it is kind of like I would never, I just wouldn't buy it. It sucks because Sega Saturn is so hard to emulate, so it's just one of those like lost to time games. So I'd really like to do it even just for the sake of like having more accessibility. Like if someone were to look it up, like hey, here's a stream of this really weird RPG, and it's a really good game too, and that's the thing. Like it's a really good game. So that's I think something that's pretty important. But anyway, I'm rambling while the trailer is going here. But yeah, our boy, our soldier boy here. Oh look, we're crash landing. Oh no! But that's our titular dragon for this game. Super cool. Oh, he is weakened. Touch my hand. Oh. Yeah, send him to the world of his brain. This is how this future world works. Yeah, so your main goal is to stop the evil dark dragon from getting back to the tower where they're excavating evil future shit. His dragon knows the way, as they say. All devices currently playing sound. God, that's so weird. Bye, friend. Give me your life energy so I can steal your pet dragon. Oh man. Now, this game's great. I'm really excited to be able to show this off. I'd actually wanted to stream these for a while just for the sake of it, but I think with E3 hype this week, which we'll talk about all that as we go through the game. Oh, look at friendships, they're being made. He knows. Yeah, no, you're the dragon rider. Look at this, Skyrim in the trash. This game, dragons right out the gate. Game of Thrones, we don't need it. Like, you get a dragon before you even press the start button. Let's go. No, I really hope that the remake for this turns out as good as it can. Because even like a remaster, like aside from like the version in Orta on Xbox, that's based off like the old PC port they have that's also for the first game. So like there's some slightly better textures and stuff because of like graphics card enhancements from back in the day that they used in that version. Yeah, anyway, let's press start. I'll let the music roll for a minute here because I can't exactly hear it and I'm still trying to figure out what the heck is going on with my sound. I have no idea why it's not going for me, and that really sucks because I like the sounds in this game. I want to hear what's going on, but it looks like it's playing for you guys, so I'll just deal with it because this isn't a long game. This is kind of a short game. So that is what it is. But yeah, when this music came blaring on the Nintendo E3, I was like, yo, let's go. Like, it was great. It's just great to see that in like such a big presence. We got a lot of games that were like that this year. I think my options are actually saved to my memory card. I'm playing this on my... Okay, yeah, I'm inverted the way I want to. I'm playing this on my actual Sega Saturn, as you can see here. I got the actual controller. Everything's all hooked up. I would pick up my Saturn, but I don't want the disc to get ajar. No one wants that. So yeah, we're gonna do normal. I actually played this game recently. My goal a personal goal this year, we don't need to watch that cutscene again, was to like play through all the Panzer Dragoon games, and with that getting announced, I'm like, yeah, let's go. So as you can see, this looks like kind of a chonky game. This is it's a little rough. It's a little rough, but you got a lock-on system, and you can just shoot straight. And the unique thing about this game, whereas as you can see, it's kind of a bit of a rough 3D rail shooter. Again, 1995. This was a Saturn launch game. Probably I'd say the most unique game on the Saturn. But the big unique thing that this game had going for it. So if you look in my top right up there, you'll see my radar with like the enemies flying in, right? like that seems kind of cool, right? But so the big gameplay thing with this, and why I think this is a little more unique in some aspects than Star Fox. Like I think Star Fox is a little bit of a smoother game, especially than the first Panzer Dragoon. But when you press the shoulder buttons, you rotate your camera view. So now that I can see, like, oh, like there's guys to my side. There's, like, you know, a little bug up there. Try not to take too many hits, but again, not having sound is kind of weird for me. But as long as you guys can hear. But yeah, you can see incoming enemies and kind of focus on what's going on. And I think that's really cool. I think it's a cool idea that it still gives the game like this feel of like you can look around the world and, you know, there's like spectacle and things look really cool, but it also kind of adds to the gameplay in terms of like you still have to maneuver your dragon in this 3D space, and you can see, you know, even if you're taking like a whole bunch of shots to the face, you'll still be able to see like, well, where are they all coming from? Oh, they're behind me. Oh, they're in front of me. That's, I think, what makes this game so unique. It's got unique ideas. The first one does show its age and limitations, but I think it's a game that goes for a good amount of, I guess, you know, presentation and aesthetic. Because it's like, what other rail shooters look like this? You know, when you talk about 2D shmups, you get things that are like either super hardcore or like, I don't know, like there's bullet hell games, there's games like Gradius, it's either space, or there's like your 1942s and stuff like Capcom and other shooters that are like, you know, war themed. Then you dig into like the Toho stuff, where it's just like that's your way off in the anime corner, and there's like everything in between, and like that's cool. But this, especially because it's 3D, goes for such a different, I want to say like a different feel altogether, and I really like that. Like this kind of like weird, distant, like ruined future, but also with technology kind of aesthetic is something that I really enjoy. Like I feel this game tries to do way more world building than you'd ever see in like a game of this style, and I think that's why Panzer Dragoon Saga works as such a good RPG. We're gonna get to that at some point. But yeah, the levels progress mostly linear in here, as rail shooters tend to. But kind of like Star Fox, there are branching paths at certain points. Panzer Dragoon 2, or 2, in sticking with the like very pseudo-German naming convention, that game has way more branching paths and other things, and it has a much more in-depth system in which you like gain points and levels for your dragon as you go through a playthrough. So depending on how you do, you might lead like a different scenario at the end and stuff. That game, I think, is actually a much more, I would say, like worthy competitor for being compared to Star Fox 64 in terms of like other rail shooters. I still have a much more softer place in my person for Star Fox, but so I think there's just aspects of that game that function a lot better than Panzer Dragoon. But I still think, you know, as limited as the Saturn was, and by comparison, it's still really had its work cut out for it in terms of making this really cool. How do I change my view? Okay, there we go. Oh, that's okay. There we go. So right now, this is just a boss. A lot of bosses, you ended up just, you know, this one's not too hard because it's the first boss. It's just a lot of just like locking on and spamming attacks. There's a bit more of an arcade feel in here where you have to like really jam it in, and bosses have like longer life bars, as you can see up there. Unfortunately, I don't have a turbo controller either, so I try not to mash the buttons too hard into the stream. But hey, it's a Sega Saturn controller, and it's a new one technically. For like the one of you out there watching who may still have a Sega Saturn, if you want a brand new Sega Saturn controller, you can go on Amazon right now, and if you find it, I think the seller is like Retrobit. They got licensed by Sega to do new Sega Saturn controllers. Like just straight up 2019 new Saturn controller. I think they do new Genesis stuff too. Either way, that's really cool. Oh, there's a missile down there. I'm just not hitting the right way. That sucks. But I should almost have it down. I gotta just shoot a couple more of these off. Oh no, I'm taking big hits, getting big embarrassed. There we go. Yeah, and boss is done. Cool. Bye, friends. That's the first level. And so at the end of levels, you'll get graded. I probably got a real big scrub rating because it's been a minute since I played this, but with your ratings for how much you hit, you get credits. I think if you get 95 or higher, you get 2. If you get 100%, you get all. I think you get up to 3. Credits are lives, so it's like it's super arcade style. Again, this was like a launch game on the Saturn, so I don't blame it for not having that much. But you get little story bits in between as well. So which level is this? Yeah, so this is the big bad evil empire of this world is trying to come after you because you got the blue dragon who knows all. This is Avatar before Avatar, and not Last Airbender. Anyway, how's everyone doing hanging out? I'll be focusing on the game mostly because of the on-rails nature of it, but how's everyone hanging? How'd y'all like E3? Everyone get hype over all the good stuff? I had a pretty good couple days of watching all the broadcasts while I was at work and stuff, and just having a good time with it. Oh, this is big old desert sand level. I don't think I have to kill the worms, but I can, so I'm gonna see if I can. There's also baddies ahead of me. E3 season is always fun. A lot of it is just getting hype and waiting for announcements and stuff, but I think it's cool to see things move on. Take a realistic approach to E3 is what I always say. Oh gosh. Okay, now this guy's to my side. Yeah, I agree. I think it was a better E3 than maybe it could have been, or maybe that people were expecting. I think now, 2019, we're like in that, I don't want to say twilight, but we're definitely in that period of, I mean, Microsoft already kind of announced the, what's it called, Scarlet, their next Xbox and stuff. Like, that's a pretty big thing. And, you know, regardless of all, this generation is kind of heavily favored PlayStation for most stuff. You know, pretty unanimously, I think people have spoken. Xbox has still sold consoles, and I think Microsoft has really changed up their, I don't know, let's say like business philosophy, or at least their audience that they're trying to shift towards and stuff. So, you know, we've come a long way from Xbox is the next water cooler, if anyone remembers that from like, what is that, like 5 or 6 years ago now at E3, or like right before when the Xbox One got revealed. So it'll be interesting to see though, because like Sony didn't even show up to E3 this year. Some people think that was a poor move, but you know, so many games come to PS4 now anyway that, like, I get it. You know, you weren't gonna, Sony wasn't gonna get any of the like real estate that Square had of showing off Final Fantasy VII, which, even though that's a PS4 exclusive right now, like, it's just they weren't gonna steal that from them. So, you know, it's like, I get it. Sometimes you make financial decisions and you stick with them, but yeah, no, E3 I think was pretty good this year. I think it's nice to have a year where it's just like, hey, remember video games? Here's video games. Like, no consoles, no in between things, no Switch Pro, no who knows, whatever. Like, it's just video games. It's nice. It's just nice. So it's nice to, like, in the sort of, let's say, like, twilight of this console generation, which has still lasted a while. I don't like that. I don't like the feeling of knowing that, like, I just felt like this console generation kind of started because I went to E3 in 2013, and like now we're at the point where it's like, nah, like we're already almost like on a new console generation. It's been like 6 or 7 years, and you know, with talks of backwards compatibility being a much like bigger priority for a lot of these companies, which I like appreciate now. I guess we'll kind of see. Okay. Actually focusing on the game for a second. So these big old slime worms, or big old worm boys, will like spit out slime at me, and I'm trying my best to like avoid getting hit by it, but some of it is because it's not like a direct blob, it's kind of just like a pre-rendered shot that gets shot in my face. That's really annoying sometimes, so hopefully I can dodge through most of it, but we might get kind of annoyed here, so we'll see. But yeah, we're definitely in the twilight, let's say, of console generation right now. But I think that's the time in which we kind of sometimes see like the most interesting games, because it's like, well, devs know how to work the hardware as, you know, maybe not as best as they can, but they know it a lot better than they did at the start, and so you get a lot more creativity, you get a lot more interesting ideas, and I think there have been a lot of cool and good changes this whole console generation. I think last, with, you know, the giant contrast between Wii, PS3, and 360, and I don't know, just everything. I'm taking a lot of hits here. Hopefully I don't die on this. Don't worry, I have a bunch of extra lives. Yeah, just seeing that big contrast like that, I think it's interesting to see now how things were. I feel like consoles are too close together. Let me see if I can Yeah, no, for sure. Like I think. Oh god, oh god, someone's coming at me. Boss is this? Oh yeah, now I fight the dragon. Oh jeez, oh jeez. Okay. Hard because I normally would know the music changes, but yeah. So this is this was the red dragon. My first time I fight it. It's a pretty fun boss fight. You kind of just dodge the shots he pours out like that, and then you just watch for where he turns. Eventually he'll come to my side. I might die in this fight because I have lower life than I expected to be at this point, but that's okay. It's been a bit since I played this game. And he's gonna turn back, and then he's right there. Oop. Where is he? Okay, there he is. Ah. Oh man, oh man. It's tricky, some of the stuff in here. Okay, once I get him in the front like that, I should be able to beat him like this. Give me a second to focus up here. Oh, okay. Because you can see, like, I get different lock-on shots if I lock on more, and that'll do more damage. That's like what I'm trying to do, but I'm also trying to move. Those tornadoes, I don't think do anything. I think they're just really cool set-piece things. But yeah, got him. Hell yeah. Still got it. No, yeah, this, look at him, he's so cool. Oh, see you later, nerd. Nice fight. That's your, like, Virgil 1 fight. You're halfway through. Oh, man. Good thing they don't count life total here. Yeah, this level's hard to get all the enemies in because of all the weird little, like, crawly things in the beginning. Yeah, no, this has been a weird console generation. Like, so I think it was nice to just have an E3 that was, like, kind of all about the games. With, I think, like, Nintendo kind of stole the show, even with something as big as, like, Final Fantasy VII Remake. I think Nintendo still kind of, like, copped one out in the end. Because you're not going to beat both, like, you got, as I heard someone else say on, like, a podcast, you get one for Japan, and then you get one for America, which was, like, you know, you got Dragon Quest for Smash, which, for me, I love Dragon Quest, so I was, like, dying over that, but then, you know, you ended out with Banjo, and it's like, nah, game over. Like, not one, but two Smash announcements. Like, that's... One, I was thinking already, like, oh, okay, good. Like, you should have two Smash announcements, but at the same time, I kind of felt like, okay, like, I was getting a little worried because, what was it, late last year? Whenever, like, one of the more major directs happened last year, they said, like, oh, you know, like, we're gonna have all 5... Yeah, two great Smash announcements. It's almost cue the what was it, like Peggle 2? Cue that guy. No, because they said originally they're like, oh, we're gonna have like all 5 Smash DLC characters by the end of 2019. And I was like, damn, all 5? Okay. And you know they announced Joker finally in like what, March or April that was when we finally got that. And like, okay, cool, that's cool. Joker's a big weird one. I'm down with that. You know, their SMT did start on Nintendo, and like, we still get a bunch of them on 3DS. Maybe not Persona, but we still get a lot of SMT games on the 3DS, so that's cool. But we got that finally, and then I was like, y'all are 4 months into this year. The other one's coming soon? Like, I think it was a soon. We'd see one at E3, but it was still kind of one of those things where it's like, oh man, like, are they actually gonna announce it or not? I don't know, but yeah, they did one. I figured something was coming, so I started off with the Dragon Quest. I was like, oh yeah, baby, and like it made sense for them to lead in with the Luminary from 11, because like that's just coming to Switch. I'd recommend anyone who wants a really solid JRPG pick that up. By the way, it's a very good game that I think builds and improves on many of the Dragon Quest series, often like archaic design choices, and not even like archaic. I think more just like antiquated. Like that is like Old Faithful, the RPG series. Whereas like Final Fantasy takes all the weird chances. SMT, I would say, in many cases, is very archaic. What's my take? If Waluigi's an assist trophy, and like that's the meme, it's like, oh, he's an assist hell, like he's never coming out. But it's like if they actually like showed him in his assist trophy cage, and then he broke out, and he was like, nah, fuck it. Like that's you know, fuck Banjo, fuck, you know, like screw all 11 Dragon Quest boys as the final Smash. Like that's the one. Put Waluigi in, I would love that. No. Man, I remember when Waluigi first was like a thing because of Mario Tennis. Like I don't even know if it was Camelot or Nintendo who like did the art choices for him. Because I mean Mario Tennis is Camelot. Speaking of Sega as we are, since they did all the old Shining Force games. Oh jeez, forgot that those could bounce. But yeah, Waluigi was created back then, and I don't know who made him at first, but I remember in like old Nintendo Power magazines, they were really like, "Yo, it's your boy Waluigi. Check out this new guy." I'm also probably gonna die on this next boss. Just FYI, I'm warning you now based on my life bar. I've been cheesing it through so far, but we'll be fine. We'll be fine. We'll make it to the end of the game. But yeah, yeah, there we go. Boom. Didn't even make it to the boss. Look at this weird death animation too. He just kind of spirals out because I guess that's how dragons die. Oh man, I thought you had lives, not credits. Oh, I goofed. I forgot about that. I gotta really buckle down for this level. It's okay. It's okay. It's Panzer Dragoon. We'll have a good time. I think there's 6 episodes, so don't worry. It'll be a nice chill playthrough of this game. Yeah, I don't know. Waluigi, aside from being like the other that shows up for party games, it's kind of a shame he's never gotten more of like his own. I don't know. I'll say like day in the sun in the way Wario does, but I think it just has to do with. Oh yeah, no, super. You guys needed to see that. That was important. Yeah, I don't know if Waluigi will ever get his day in the sun. It'd be cool to see a game where both him and like Wario team up. Nintendo hasn't done any weird creative things like that in terms of like messing with their characters, I feel, lately, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, sometimes too, because like the bullet shots you're seeing on screen, like these little weird fireballs the ship is shooting, they show up as pre-rendered, whereas like a lot of other things in the game are animations, or like a giant missile may come at you, not animation, but are actual like 3D models. So it's really not jarring, but it's sometimes a little weird because I forget what's what and like what I'm supposed to shoot at versus like, you know, what is actually going to hurt me or not. So that can be a little frustrating sometimes in terms of like. In terms of keeping myself alive in these games, but hopefully I'll be able to squeeze out a few more credits at the end of this level. That's one thing that makes this tough too, is because like in Star Fox, you keep your ship damage. Like if you're damaged enough to get like that battle damaged R-wing by the end of a level, you'll maybe get like your wing repaired. But in here, in Panzer Dragoon, you are stuck with the life you had at the end of the last level. Like, you might get some back depending on how good you did, which I was trying to do in the last level, but you know, if you keep doing like subpar, which it takes me a run or two to get back into the flow of how this game plays, you forget how to speak English because you're trying to shoot all the targets in the ground. No, you're kind of just you got to deal with the life you get, so you keep getting lower and lower. But this game is fun. I think, you know, for such an early game, it shows its age and it's rough, and that's why I'm hoping maybe there's some cool quality of life buffs for the new game. Like I hope that turns out well, because they are also remaking the second game. That one I'm very keen on seeing how they do with it, because the second game is, I think, legitimately a very good 3D rail shooter that I think I'm actually probably going to show that off soon, because I really enjoy that game. But with Saga, they never announced that they were going to do Saga, which that is a big undertaking. You know, remaking a rail shooter, you know, the game, like average gameplay is maybe an hour or two and meant to have multiple playthroughs, you know, different difficulties or high scores. That's, you know, a fairly ambitious project, even if it's like a 3D shooter like this, because 3D rail shooters are kind of uncommon. Like earlier I mentioned a lot of 2D shooters, but nah, 3D stuff is pretty rare these days. Like I think there's like Star Fox, there's Panzer Dragoon, there's Sin and Punishment, which even that's like kind of 2.5D, and then that's kind of it off the top of my head. Like I'm sure there's other obscure and more like niche things that are really cool that I'm super forgetting, and that's fine. But it really just goes to show, like, that's like this genre did not take off in the way that, like, I don't know, 2D shooters did, and are still like very nichely alive and thriving to a certain extent for all the hardcore fans that still play them, and like that's great. But I don't know, I always thought like 3D shooters taking advantage of like paying attention to like the environment as like things get thrown at you, and you know, creating systems to deal with that. And I don't know, but like, see, I can like have like a full 360 range of view on something like Panzer Dragoon, which, you know, that works. I think that's really cool. we just don't always get to see that with 2D shooters. Like, there's still 2D shooters are still very fun and impressive, and I am awful at them. I don't know if I'd ever play like Ikaruga or Radiant Silvergun or other crazy stuff like that on stream. Maybe something more tame like a Gradius, but still, it just goes to show that like I think people like their 2D shooters more than 3D, but I think 3D's got cool stuff. So hopefully, anyways, if the remake does well enough, I don't know, maybe they'll announce Saga being remade if the remakes sell well enough. We will see. Oh, was that not high enough for me to dodge that? Okay. This boss, I don't even know what it is. It's like a weird crab robot spider walking thing. Man, these bosses get no introductions. They just kind of show up, and it is implied that it's all like crazy Empire stuff that's coming after you. And so you can even see the little dot for the boss on the map. Like he was floating above me. But I gotta make sure that he there we go. He doesn't have any of his shots follow me. This boss is a bit easier, I want to say, than the last one. The last one you gotta like follow the dragon and go all the way around, but this one just kind of jumps over you and under you, and oh gosh, okay. Like sometimes it doesn't even hit you the way you think it's gonna hit you. But most of the bosses, locking on is kind of the solid strategy, so you can find like where to hit. And like the first boss, the giant floating ship, with that you just kind of hit the different parts so they fall off. So it's like sometimes you can lock on, but then once you're like done locking on, you can kind of aim at like where to hit. This one, I think it's little like wings that keep popping out too, those weird propellers. Those can block your regular shots, so sometimes it's good to actually. Oh god. I think some of them fall off though. It just depends on how you want to play. Yeah, like right now I was trying to shoot it with just the regular shots, and like those did not go through, so I got to lock on. Sometimes the way I grip the controller is kind of weird, so like I use my thumb on the D-pad like normal, but then I'll like put 2 fingers on each shot button because it kind of lets me shoot a little faster. Super legit strats. Yeah, see, I always forget the ones that come behind. That's where I'm taking a lot of damage right now. Okay, there we go. I was like, I knew something else comes off of him, and then you just kind of like shoot the core. There we go. Now we're hitting him with the big hits. Yeah, I don't know. E3 was fun this year. What everyone liked to see? What was everyone's favorite announcement thing they saw? Or anyone was chilling? What'd you all like at E3 this year? I can share some of mine after. I think there were some highlights at most of the conferences for me. That's level 3, by the way. So we get chased into a tunnel. Oh no. I should have gotten enough for a credit that time. Oh heck no, I did not. Oh, I did get 1 credit. Okay, I thought 1 credit was at least 90%. Damn, I'm so good at this game. Necrodancer Zelda. Oh yeah, Necrodancer Zelda. I am very interested in that game. I did not play Crypt of the Necrodancer. I, as a rhythm game fan, have been told that I should. For anyone who has not played Necrodancer or has seen Cadence of Hyrule and doesn't get it, that is a rhythm game. That is a music rhythm game with some RPG elements. Really weird, I know. That's a great crossover. That is my shit. Yeah, no, that has been on my like personal mental checklist for a while. It is a fun little game from everything I've seen. I just have not had the time to get into it, and that is like. That's just the story of my life with video games. You know, it's either on the backlog or I'm just not playing it. But yeah, no, I wanna grab that at some point. Necrodancer looks really cool. It is a rhythm game in which pretty much everything you do is tied to like timed presses. Obviously, better. Okay, give me a second here. I need to concentrate on these rooms. This weird stuff. We're going through a weird catacomb tomb right now. I may die coming up too, because I think I remember the boss is this weird giant fish in the water that has a lot of weird ways to attack you. But we'll see how I do here. I actually remember this level pretty well from the last time I played through this game. But yeah, Necrodancer, neat game, and I'm very interested in Cadence of Hyrule. It will probably sit in my mental backlog for a while, but I do hope it does well. I would encourage anyone who likes rhythm games, but maybe like, I don't know, needs a cool premise to go after one, you probably give that game a chance, because everything I've heard about Necrodancer is like nothing but good stuff. But you know, it's its own original thing. So like seeing them get to tackle something as big as Zelda is like, okay, that's cool. Like I think it's cool they're giving Zelda all these weird chances with stuff. I mean, like we had Hyrule Warriors, we got that. So I'd like to see them do more cool stuff. Like, 'cause I feel like Mario is the one who always gets like the weird IP thing. I mean, like there's DDR Mario, you know. So speaking of rhythm games, but yeah, it's nice to see them give a few chances to Link in terms of a weird spin, or at least giving someone the chance to handle that. Oh gosh, what the heck is that? Anyway, this level is very jarring, as you can see, in which you just pretty much you're diving through these catacombs because big bad Empire boys are after you. I'm just doing terrible here, and that's okay. I do not know this game as well as I know Star Fox. I will say that now. Yeah, no, Necrodancer looks cool. I don't know. I'll just talk about other E3 things. We're chilling. I don't know. So Microsoft's conference, I thought they did pretty well. Again, like I think, because I mentioned them earlier when I was talking about new consoles coming out. You know, Microsoft has really been, I think, putting out a good show. Recently, I think they've really flip-flopped on their whole, like, let's make Xbox this crazy media center thing. And they're like, okay, sure, it's media, but, like, let's actually focus on video games, because, what do you know, people still want to see those. So they've definitely toned down their whole old, like, weird shtick about it. And I think they've at least made it so they have something kind of interesting to show for people, and that's cool. Jeez, I'm short-circuiting to try and remember what things I saw from Microsoft that I liked. I know one of the big ones was Phantasy Star Online 2. Like, holy moly, that game has been in Japan for the longest time. I wanted to play that because I love the old Phantasy Star Online games and the old Phantasy Star RPGs in general. But which boss is this? Oh, I know which boss it is. Never mind. I'm thinking of a boss from the second game, I want to say. Yeah, this is the boss for this level. It's this weird little robot guy who I think you can shoot his arms off. I might still die here, though. I totally forgot which boss I was fighting. Or which one was coming up. But yeah, Microsoft Phantasy Star Online 2. They really went after some weird big stuff at their E3 show. I thought that was cool, though, because that's a game that I know myself and a lot of other people had wanted when it first came out. But, you know, Sega is, you know, kind of cautious when it gives different IPs a chance. And, like, I get it. Online games in the West, you know, you either have, you gotta have something that either, like, does amazingly from the start, or you're just gonna get tanked. You know, it's not gonna do well. I do worry that that game might struggle a bit. I think I saw a little bit of frame drop in for me. I hope that continues. Yeah, I do worry that Phantasy Star might not do too hot, because that game is like 6 years old now, I think, 7. That game is pushing its age, and that sucks. Oh jeez, I died there. That's okay. I knew that was going to happen for this level. That boss is a little tough. That's what we got those credits for. Yeah, I'm a little worried PSO might not do as good as it maybe could, because it's an older game, but I think because of its age, hopefully PCs can optimize it better now, and it does well enough on Xbox, so we will definitely see. We'll see what happens. That was a big one for me. There were a few other things at Microsoft I actually liked too. I think I just didn't, can't remember them. I don't know. I'm blanking out right now, but they did have some cool stuff. I think their shows have gotten better in terms of what's been announced and what they're trying to cater to in terms of variety. And it's like, yeah, a lot of those games end up coming out on PS4 as well, but it's still a cool thing to see, like, how much they're at least trying to still be like the console with variety, even if it's, you know, maybe even if they think they're lacking in some neat exclusives. So that was why it was kind of cool to be like, yo, we're pushing PSO2 on like PC and Xbox. And I'm like, okay, more of that, please. So we'll see what they do. Yeah. So thinking of other ones, EA was kind of in the middle for me. Just, you know, I get that they haven't been too hot with certain games lately. They've had some hit or misses. I mean, like, they have Apex, but then it's like they pushed out Apex because what was it, like Anthem or whatever, that big thing they were trying to push for a while, like, didn't pan at all, and that kind of sucks because, like, I will admit that I'm not like the most historied person when it comes to BioWare games, but like I 100% get why people like the games that company has made before and enjoy those, and that kind of sucks because it's like when you think BioWare, you think like big, sprawling, you know, long to do one single player like RPG games. That's what you think, right? Not online loot shooters. You know, not the Division 2, not, you know, whatever. That's not what you think when you think that. So it's like have them put all that time into a game like that and then have it tank really poorly. Like that kind of sucks. I just leave that on the table. So I hope that some of those cool dev studios that are paired with the EA still get like their time to shine in the future and get to do what they do best. So we'll see. But I think that's been the story for quite a handful of developers who've worked under EA, and that sucks because you know, there are a lot of games I personally really enjoy that I probably won't see again for a long time. Like we got a second Mirror's Edge game, and that was a fluke, if you will. But that series is probably gonna fall back to sleep forever. And you know, don't even get me started on how we haven't seen stuff like SSX or you know, the Street series of sports games and stuff, and who knows how long. I don't know. I feel like EA is in a weird spot, and I think they have the potential to do some cool things. I think they really just need to make some better goals, and hopefully their heads can figure stuff out. What I was gonna say though was that the Star Wars game they showed off actually seemed pretty chill. What was it, Jedi Fallen Order? Like that could be neat. I'm down. I'm always down for some Star Wars. It's like if it's just a chill single-player game with, you know, fun levels, maybe throw some lore in there. I think they got the guy the Forrest Whitaker guy from the movie, or from what was it, Rogue One? I think he's in there. That's cool. So hopefully that game does well, because I heard Battlefront. I heard new Battlefront 2 had a lot of problems at the start, not beyond just the good old loot box stuff. So we'll see what happens there. But yeah, so EA was what it was. They showed off what they had, even if it wasn't much. Who else? Microsoft, and then Bethesda. Bethesda was kind of weird. Everyone's been posting dumb memes of how everyone in the audience at Bethesda was like yelling really loud, and it seemed really weird. I admit I do think that was kind of funny. So I don't know. I think their coolest thing for me was probably Doom. Doom is always cool. I need to probably finish Doom 2016 because it's been a while since that game came out and I have not finished that. Maybe I should stream it. I don't know. I'm not good at that game. It's a fun game though, and what's his composer? Mick Gordon, I think it is the composer for that game. Great stuff. It's good to see Doom surviving. That's cool. Yeah, Bethesda was kind of weird, but they did some cool stuff to show. Really awkward to have them get on stage and talk about Fallout 76 after how that game came out. But still, I think it is at least ambitious to see devs come on, you know, a stage or get on stream when they've had issues with launches and be like, okay, look, we gonna try and fix this. A lot of the times it really doesn't work out, but sometimes, you know, maybe you'll get a Final Fantasy XIV Realm Reborn. I don't know. Maybe that was just Japan being crazy. It needs research. But yeah, but Bethesda was just weird. It was weird. And then for like the dozen 40-year-olds watching, I feel sorry for all of them who had to watch what happened with good old Commander Keen. Like I admittedly don't have any history with Commander Keen, but I at least know what the series is. I know it's like a storied old PC thing. And it was just like, man, guess what? Your favorite thing is oh, it's a mobile game. Like, boy. Like, when they put, what was it, like Fallout Shelter a few years ago, that was cool. Like, I didn't play Fallout Shelter too much, but I see, oh, geez, I died again. How embarrassing. Oof. Yeah, that's too. The way they handled things with 76 was kind of weird, because it's like, I know people who played that, and they said there were parts of it they liked, but it's just like, man, you have a cool idea, and you don't do it right, and it's like, well, you should try and fix it. You know, I don't know. What do I know about game development? I'm just here losing at a 20-something-year-old shooting game on Sega Saturn. But I still can't hear the sound. Oh, this is so frustrating. I don't know why, but I'm glad you guys can hear it, and that's what matters most. I'm actually taking one for the team on this one. I will not be a baddie, and like I tested this earlier, but as you know, these things they happen. But yeah, so I don't know. I think Bethesda was okay. I think the previous year they obviously had more things to announce, so things were a little more hype. And then like, yeah, no, not even like a peep. Yeah, what's his fucking Todd Boy teased Elder Scrolls 6 last year, and people still love Elder Scrolls. It's not my favorite series, but like I totally get it. So, you know, like they teased, what was it, 6 last year? It's like, okay, that's finally coming. But then it's like, oh, dude, no, like nothing about that this year. So I don't know. Which, if they've got nothing to show, then they've got nothing to show. That's fine. But an okay showing from them. And then there was the weird shit you get from Devolver Digital, which they always put out a lot of cool stuff. That had me caught up for a moment, because last year they announced a game that I am most definitely going to stream when it comes out, called Metal Wolf Chaos. It is one of the most wackiest and wildest games ever made. It's made by FromSoft. It's on the original Xbox. It is exclusive to Japan only. I don't get it, because it's a game in which you play as the President of the United States, and he pilots a giant mech, and his VP is out to get him, and he's tried to take over the White House, and you gotta go back and save him from being... I don't know. Nothing makes sense. It's pretty wild. It's the most American video game ever that we never got. And by who the hell knows power, Devolver last year was like, hey, yeah, we're gonna port Metal Wolf Chaos. Yeah, you know, it is. Maybe they people were getting scared because the game got delayed. Its porting got delayed in like August, September, and I was like, okay, because they said at the conference last year, they're like, oh, it's coming out like fall, winter 2018. So I was like, oh hell yeah, let's go. Because essentially, you know, it boils down, it's just the HD port from, you know, the 6th generation, which we get those all the time. You know, Final Fantasy, Kingdom Hearts, easy. You know, just do a good job on the port and bam, you're done. You know, those are easy. That happens all the time. You know, not a super hard thing to do. But it got delayed, and I was like, okay, you know, it's a port, but it's that Miyamoto. There's that Miyamoto quote I see people throw around E3 all the time, where it's like a rush game is always bad at launch, but there's a delayed game always has a chance to be good, or something like that. Man, I'm doing awful this round too. I'm not having it here. Maybe I'll. I hope there's a level select. I forget if there's a level select in this game. I think I can put in a code. I don't know. Anyway, no cheat codes in this stream. Jeez. No, but yeah, so they delayed it. That was annoying. This year I was really hoping to see it again at their stream, or on their little conference they do that's like goofy and silly all the time, and there was nothing. There was nothing at all, and I was really scared. I was like, oh no, did something happen? Which is really strange, because right now FromSoft is generally pretty hot. Oh, that's an Elden Rings with Jajar Martin at Xbox. That was cool. That's From's new thing. It's now it's George Souls. Yeah, I think that's the official name. George Souls. That's cool. But yeah, no, they had their big show there, or their big showing of that, and it's like, yeah, From is pretty popular now. But Metal Wolf comes from the era in which FromSoft was like all Armored Core, so you know that is how that do, and you know that's why that's like an older game. But you know, From is pretty hot right now, and I would think that they would want any money, you know, as much money as they can get. You know, stay hot, stay on top, release this cool old game. So I don't know. I just got scared. I was like, oh no, did something happen? But after me and many people were yelling on Twitter, I think they realized they put out like a tweet with the official artwork, and like, you know, the date was pending, but they said like stay patient, Mr. President. The announcement about the release date and stuff is coming after E3, and I was like, okay, that's really weird. But they put out an official Twitter post that said that, and as someone who works in social media, that's about as official as that gets, and that's really cool that they at least did that, because they didn't have to, so I was thankful for that. And then there we go, and I just died again. Okay, we are not doing so well without sound, so let me take a second to look something up here. At least I got rank shooter. Give me a second. Oh, look at this. You guys get to see the cool game over screen. Look at the Saga guy. He's dancing. Yay, turns into the logo. It's hype. Panzer Dragoon. Saturn. Look at me get exposed at this game right here on the Saturn. Okay. I'll let you guys watch this like B-roll footage at the end for a second too. I think it's just more of like weird cutscenes you see from the game. Yeah, look at that. Oh, that's like, that was probably a commercial spot from like the E3 that this came out. Oh man, who was even born then? Raise their hand. Okay, let me see. Okay, we are going to be huge big cowards once this cool little B-roll footage. Actually, no, we're gonna cut forward. Okay, so we're gonna do level select because that's just the kind of night we're having right now. It's Wednesday, don't worry about it. Okay, so press start, then press up, up, down, down, left, right, X, Y, Z. Hell yeah. Look at me cheese this game. Don't worry about it. No one saw that. That's okay. This is back when games had cheat codes. No, it's for the convenience of this stream. Don't worry. This is definitely one of those games, though, where it's like you gotta milk your continues and get good, kid. Which right now I am not, and that's okay. It is without sound, and honestly with the input lag. Yeah, no. Nah, if you're not on stream to break the game and 100% yourself, what are you even doing? No, but I gotta be a little more careful as this level goes through. There's actually a fair bit of input lag with the way I'm doing this, so I'm actually, with other games I've played before that hasn't really mattered. Also with like games like Star Fox, I know them, but with this game and with no sound, that's something I'm going to address in the future. So I don't know, I might have a setup where I can have my little like, cause I have a little CRT TV that I'll normally plug in like my old games like this, and like they obviously were flawless on there. Because I have this plugged in through S-Video, but the S-Video is plugged into my capture card, which is that is a USB, and that is an okay form of input, but there's still like a fair amount of like lag that I'm feeling from this in terms of like the controller. So we'll learn and address these things in the future. I have never, like, aside from Star Fox, which was, I was playing that on a magical N64 on my computer, as the kids call it. So with that, I had a much more solid input for things, because I was able to kind of tweak that the way I wanted to. Versus this, I'm kind of messing around more with just a simple setup. Anyway, we'll do that at some point. But what are we talking about? Oh, we're talking about E3, yeah. Let's see. So we talked about that. Anyway, Metal Wolf is coming. I'm excited. That is great. And I saw that all on the morning of, what was that? That was conferences? Yeah, that was them. Oh, and then so the next day, so I guess yesterday? No, Monday. Monday was like PC Gamer. They had the PC Gamer show has actually gotten like weird, not worth watching, but I remember the first year they had one of those. I just had it on as emulation is the magic word, yes. I remember the first year they did like a quote-unquote PC Gamer show, so PC Gamer being like the magazine PC Gamer that still exists. They had a show, like they started theirs a couple years ago, and it was kind of boring. Like a lot of it was actually just talking about like new graphics cards and new stuff, and it's like, I get it, you know, you got to keep up with that stuff if you're really into like PC games and you know, you want to keep your hardware updated. And that was cool, but it was kind of just like, well, okay, this is here, versus like this year they actually had some games to show. Like they showed like Baldur's Gate 3, they showed a bunch of other cool like Steam and indie stuff, and then the one thing they showed that ended up being a double-edged sword for some people is like they showed off a newer trailer for Shenmue 3, and like I've been excited for that game because I like the old Shenmue games on Dreamcast and Xbox. And, like I like many people want to see the end of that goofy-ass weird series. You know, those games have really aged. They were like the proto open-world games of their time. Like there wasn't anything like that at the time just yet. Stuff like GTA 3, that was still like right on the horizon. So the old games have aged and they're kind of jank, but it's still, there's parts of those that are really endearing. And you know, I really liked those games when I first played them for the first time, and I played them actually a while ago, but still, like I have fond memories of those. And when 3 got announced, I was like, oh hell yeah, I'm gonna get that, because that got funded in like a day. But the reason I bring that up and make a point to harp on this for a second is because in the Kickstarter, the game was slated for PC, Xbox One, and PS4. I'm probably getting it on PS4, but when you kickstart a game, usually you have the option to like pick your platform. So like, you know, if you donate to the tier that'll get you a copy of the game, it's like, oh, I'm just gonna front the full 60 now, and you know, ideally when the game comes out, then I'm gonna, you know, I'll get my copy on whatever platform, please. And it's like, okay, you know, that's maybe a little more of a risky investment than I'm willing to take sometimes, and like I'll usually just follow the projects I think are cool, and then I'll buy them when they come out, because like, okay, I'll still support the game like that. But still, that's how the Kickstartering tends to go. And it was originally announced kind of around the E3 time, like pretty much right after that PC Gamer show, that Shenmue 3 had been slated to be an Epic Game Store exclusive. Now, I haven't followed too much about the Epic Game Store. For those of you who might not be familiar, Epic Games is the same Epic Games who made Gears of War at one point in time. I think they still technically do, or someone does within Microsoft. I don't know anymore. But more importantly, they made that weirdo Fortnite game that all the kids are playing. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, yeah. So they dated Fortnite, and because that was like the biggest thing ever, they've started to kind of branch out and, I don't know, try and tackle things. I mean, Fortnite wasn't their biggest thing ever. It was the Battle Royale thing that caught on, but they're really just trying to, I don't know, be these weird like mavericks of the PC space, I feel, right now. And a lot of people really aren't like super jazzed on how they're like aggressively going after exclusives for their store stuff, because it's like, I don't know, I gotta say that I feel that it's a little weird, because like, yeah, Steam has kind of been the de facto platform for PC in terms of like distribution for so long, but you still have like GOG and other stuff. And oh god, I forgot I need to dodge these lasers like this. But yeah, you still have like GOG and other things out there for like getting PC games, and like, yeah, Steam can kind of be the same way sometimes, but I think it's kind of one of those things where like most other game launchers that exist, or like platforms like that, kind of have, oh jeez, I tanked that one again. Whew. It's okay. We will get this boss as we talk through E3. Don't you worry about that. But yeah, I feel like other game launchers that have existed over the years just have been like notably not great. Like, I used Origin once or twice, because I was playing a game based on a friend's recommendation at the time, even though I didn't finish it. But I used Origin. Like, Origin was okay. It wasn't as invasive like as I think people made it out to be, but it just like, well, I can play all my EA games here, or I can just keep using Steam. And it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, Steam has its flaws, and like, boy, does Valve make some weird choices. And, you know, does Valve even make games anymore? Survey of the year. But it's still like enough of a platform that enough people use it that like, why are you going to use anything else, kind of a thing. So when other like stores come around, they're like, most stores not just being up to the same par or having like the same amount of games or whatever, that's usually been just like a reason where like, well, these stores get regulated to like these games, and that's it on PC. Or like, I know Ubisoft's store, like the Uplay thing, or like even their launcher is often, I remember being noticed kind of weird, like games for Windows Live. That was a really bad one. Like, go ask people who played Dark Souls 1 on PC like how awful that is, and how many like weird mods and patches they had to make for that game to work. Whereas like now, I think like the current like quote-unquote remastered version of that works. Thoughts on Stadia. Yeah, let's drift off about that for a minute while we're talking about PC gaming. Anyway, to bookend that question, or that thought, Shenmue 3 got announced for Epic Store exclusive. Kickstarter backers and PC people riot because they really just don't like that. But the reason why that's also weird is because the Epic Store didn't exist when Shenmue 3 got kickstarted. That was like a weird new thing, and it's kind of one of those things where like, it's way too late, I think, for people to like back down from their pre-order incentives, because like that game is like actually, Shenmue 3 is coming out this year. That's something I had to look up. I was like, oh shit, I didn't even realize I got a release date for this year. Cool, comes out in November. That's gonna be stacked with like Death Stranding and stuff. But got announced for Epic Store exclusive. People mad. Today I just saw on Twitter actually that it is no longer that. It was like now it's timed exclusive. Because I was like, yeah, you guys backed down from that one really fast. So I was like, you know what? That's good. I don't think people should be screwed over for something like that they didn't know. There you go. That was fixed. We'll jump back into conferences in a minute. Thoughts on Stadia? I think Stadia is trying to paint itself as something more than what it is. I think it is a stream box, but a stream box with Google's networks. I think Stadia is trying to fill a void that doesn't exist. Because Stadia, its goal is like it's a stream platform. Buy this controller and this Chromecast bundle and subscribe to our service, and you can play games, maybe not like GameFlix per se, which is like the dream, but play GameFlix basically, and like that's fine. But aside from like trying to play GameFlix, it feels weird to me, because what I mean by filling the void is that, like, okay, Stadia is aiming out to try and get this supposedly existent crowd of people who like want to play games but don't want to play on a console. And to me, that's this weird thing where it's like, okay, well, non-console gamers currently, that means you're either PC or mobile, right? And, you know, let's, you know, go out of the ballpark to kind of assume a little, but assumedly, like, if you're... I haven't faced the boss yet, by the way, because his life bar hasn't shown up. Kind of like Star Fox, you have to wait till the life bar show still starts. Hopefully we won't get cheesed on it this time. Anyway, let's roll. What was I saying? Stadia. Yeah, so Stadia, I feel, is trying to fill this void of which, like, it's like, okay, people who are like in a middle ground for like, yeah, I want to play a game, or like I want to play a few games a month, but I don't want to go through the whole trouble of like a console, or like I'm not hardcore enough to get super deep into PC and blah blah blah, or even like I don't want to buy a gaming PC. You know, pre-built rigs are pretty pricey for what they are sometimes. You know, people give Alienware a lot of shit, and like I think rightfully so. Sometimes those are pretty expensive houses for, you know, something that you, on your own you could build a lot cheaper, but I mean that's the appeal, right? Is, you know, get something cheaper. I shouldn't have taken that hit. Okay, so I'm making these mistakes on this boss someday. But yeah, I feel like there's yeah, exactly. There's just not the, like, what target demographic. Like, the thing is, like I was saying, then flipping over from PC, like the people who aren't going to buy consoles are probably people who are going to play mobile games on their phone. And it's like, yeah, you could make fun of mobile games for often being like gacha trash and other things, but it's like, man, some people are just fine with that, and that's okay. If you want to play your Grand Blues and your FGOs or fake Grand, whatever all the hot kids are playing these days, I don't know. Like, you want to play Pokemon Go, that's totally fine if that's all you want to play. And the thing is, I think like dismissing the simplicity of consoles is kind of a poor choice, because it's like, yeah, consoles are a little PC-like in terms of like having hard drives, like OSs and stuff nowadays, but consoles are still pretty simple to use, and it's like the price of Stadia is like, well, you pay for the controller and you play for a Chromecast. It's not like a bad deal, but it's not anything super amazing. Boy, I am just doing awful on this boss fight, by the way. Am I hitting the wrong spots? Okay. Probably gonna die again, but that's okay. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's no target demographic, and I feel like infrastructure. That's a big thing. I know the big appeal is a chicken. Yeah. See, that's what you get. No ranking if you do level select, but that's okay. We'll come back to this level again. Let's see. Now that I know the password, that's okay. Sorry, Sega man. We don't get to see you dance. 1, 2, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, don't worry about it. God, this is the worst. No, it's okay. This is bothering me just because like I beat this game a month or two ago, so I should be doing better, but I'm not playing in the ideal settings. But that's okay. We'll get past episode 4, I believe. Yeah, I don't know. I think it'll be cool to see what happens with Stadia, and like obviously companies are gonna support it. Like I think, God, what's his name? Not Sean Layden. That's the new Sony guy. There's the other bald guy, the one who's now at Google with Stadia, the one who used to be with like Sony during the late PS2, PS3 days. I always just remember him from like the PS3 reveals. But that guy, he was at the Ubisoft conference when they were mentioning like Division 2 and like how that's going to be on Stadia. Like, it's obviously not an exclusive, but speaking of exclusives, I think that's a part of the thing with Stadia is like, oh, okay, like the big appeal of Stadia is like you can play all these cool third-party games, and like, yeah, there's a lot of older things on there from like this generation, but it's like, okay, it has a game selection, and that's something, but it's kind of that thing where it's like, if someone really wants to play a game, like, is it worth it for them to get a Stadia, or like, would you, I don't know, like, just pay the extra few bucks for like a console and then get one of the sub services on like Xbox or PS4? Like, I'm not a super big fan of those, but like even Microsoft just announced like if you want to do like their games with gold thing now, or like however their whatever their service they're called. I think it's Games with Gold, or like, or Games Pass. That's what it is. Microsoft's Game Pass thing. If you want to do their Games Pass, like I think now they said it's like for like a month or two now. If you're just starting, you get like a couple months free for like $1 each. It's like, that's pretty wild. And yeah, Microsoft is trying to compete heavily on that, so they're like giving way better deals, I think, than maybe Sony does. But it's like, they've been pretty good with a lot of their like day one releases on new games. Like I know games like, even if they didn't do that well, like Crackdown 3 and some other things that were like, you know, new games got like day one Games Pass access, and it's like that's a fair enough service. You know, pay $10, demo a game. If you really want to play it past that, go buy it. I don't think that's a terrible way to do things, and that's where it's just that thing. It's just like, so then why would I want Stadia to do that if I can pretty much just do that on other consoles at this point? So I don't know. I think that's the bookend on that. It's like, Stadia's neat. I think Google is clearly trying to sell it as more than what it is. It is a stream platform that is going to have the backing of Google's networks, and that is the appeal there. That is that. So I don't know. We'll see. I do not think it's going to rock the gaming world in the way that they think it is. You know, to me, it doesn't feel like a gimmick in the way that like VR has kind of like settled into this little niche. Like, VR is still happening. There's cool projects there, but with VR, I think VR has potential beyond video games, and I think that's where I think lasting power will be in terms of like VR being applied in the future to other things. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's Stadia for a thing to mention too, because that conference was like a couple days before E3 started as well. You know, it's that time of year for announcements and things. So I don't know. Anyway, welcome to anyone who is, stepped in. Let's see, we've been going for an hour now, doing pretty good. Well, not doing so good. We've been stuck on this boss for a hot minute. Okay, I'm actually gonna buckle down and try and get through this guy, because I should know how to fight this. I know the main thing is watch out for his big dumb punches. Oh god, okay, maybe I should stop taking unnecessary damage. Yeah, hopefully we can get through this boss. I'd like to show off the last two levels, and then the final boss is a fun one to fight. But anyway, let's see, what conference did I leave off on? I talked about Devolver. Oh yeah, PC Gamer, that's why we talked about Stadia. But yeah, PC Gamer show happened, and it was okay. People got a little salty about the Shenmue thing, but then they dialed back on that today, and that just gave me a good chuckle. But also good for them, because that does suck if you kickstarted that and you were, now that you finally at the point where like, oh, the thing you got promised to be sold if it got finished is gonna come through, but not in a way you like were expecting based on the money you gave. That's a little different. Where it's like, Kickstarters are still a gamble. I think it's an investment, you know, and investments are not guarantees. You know, if the thing that you are investing in does turn out to be what you want, then yeah, you can reap those rewards. But as we have seen with many Kickstarters, that is not always the case. But anyway, I'm gonna stop diddling on that. That's that. So after PC Gamer, let's see, there's a stream for, let's see, next was Limited Run, I want to say, which not everyone watched that one. That was one I had my eyes on. So Limited Run, for those of you who don't know, they are a publisher who has become pretty well known for doing a lot of like indie game publications. Their whole philosophy is, you know, though there's some flaws to it, I think they want to, you know, make physical copies of, you know, indie games that might not get them. I think that's cool. I think a lot of companies have started to kind of answer, where it's like we've seen some other companies put out smaller copies of things like that, and that's really cool. Sometimes their model is a little weird. They used to only do like actual limited count releases, but I think as they've gotten more popular and gotten like bigger games under their belt, they've gotten a lot wiser about that, and they've done open pre-orders for things. So instead of having like, hey, pre-orders for, or orders for blank blank up to 4,000 copies go up this morning. Get it while it's hot, or don't. Like, goodbye. And that, oh god, it feels bad. I know I can beat this level. I've done that before. I don't know, you know. let's do it. We're gonna do it. But yeah, they announced that. They announced just like a bunch of different games, some really cool stuff. Stuff I was interested in actually seeing physically for a while. Freedom Planet, a bunch of random old Star Wars games like Bounty Hunter and Episode 1 Racer. Like that's kind of cool, I guess. Just a whole smorgasbord of cool stuff. If you go to their Twitter, you can find all the cool stuff they have. A fun little show by them. They kind of had a bunch of like tongue-in-cheek funny jokes. Like they did a whole dumb like it was this really like jokingly awful put together like fake show they did. It was cool, but they just announced a bunch of games that they were doing. So that's always fun. I like that smaller people like that get a chance to have a little E3 showing. So that was a thing. Next was Ubisoft. Nothing from them really that was exciting. I think nothing bad either. Ubisoft's usually like always okay. Like to me, they're not. Ubisoft is never like awful. You know, I don't think they announced anything new with Assassin's Creed. If they did, I totally missed it because I probably got up and went to the bathroom at my office desk. Yeah, they probably said something about Assassin's Creed. They said something about Rainbow Six. A couple things about Rainbow Six, I think, or either Rainbow Six Siege or they know they had a Division thing. There were a couple things, and that was about it. It wasn't anything super crazy, but it was just like, yeah, it's Ubisoft. Oh my god, this level is awful. Well, you can see why there's only 6 levels in this game. Anyway, hopefully I won't have to cower it out and do easy mode on this, but I do want to show off all of this game if I can. So, hey, we're just here to chill. But yeah, Ubisoft, yeah. Oh yeah, Watch Dogs. Oh, I totally forgot. That was the one because the stupid, the dumb grandma stuff. That was silly. But yeah, Watch Dogs has come a long way, I feel, in like my following of it, which has been like me just watching it at E3, because it's like you had Watch Dogs 1, which was like this game that took itself way too seriously. And then you had Watch Dogs 2, which is like tried to take itself less seriously, and I heard was actually a decent game. And I think the problem with Watch Dogs 1 as well was like it had the displeasure of being one of those like cross-generational games, because that was like 2013, 14, I want to say. It was like right when PS4, Xbox One, and like even Wii U just came out. You can get Watch Dogs 1 on the Wii U. Took like forever to come out, but that exists on the Wii U. That was the weirdest thing. That was back in those days where everyone like pulled out of the Wii U super early, super hard, like good times. But yeah, Watch Dogs 1, weirdo game. Took itself way too seriously, I think, and what it was trying to be. 2, they dialed that way back, and we're just like, oh, it'll be a goofy little game. And I heard from people who played it that 2 was okay. And now with like Watch Dogs Legions or whatever they're calling it, which is like they're leaning super hard into like the stupid parts of it. I'm okay with like a more like Saints Row sort of like lean into the stupid stuff kind of humor idea. I would give that a try if I had the time to, you know. I'd be like, okay, like we'll touch this Watch Dogs thing now. So that's cool. I forgot that that's them. Yeah, their comms are just weird. But yeah, so that was that. We got another Just Dance, which, hey, let's meme about the fact that with Just Dance is coming out on the Wii and not the Wii U, but Just Dance Wii U is backwards compatible, so hey, eat that one up. Oh, I just thought that was hilarious. But yeah, Just Dance is still alive. That is still a series, and that is just wild to me. But people still play them. People still buy them. They have no reason to not make them at that point. You know, that's their series. It's kind of a little sad to me that that's like the one remaining actual like dance series as someone who is a major like DDR fan, but you know, they can't all be winners. You still get DDR in the arcades now, and that's fine with me, but you know, it's, okay, dodge the hand as it comes to me. I am actually trying to focus on this boss, dude. Hand is coming out now. Look at the big hand. I dodged it. Yay. I'm doing no damage. not too much from Ubisoft, but again, nothing bad. No Beyond Good and Evil this year, which is weird because last year they showed off a lot for that game. Not a lot, but that game was like in dev hell for so long, and then because I remember I was in high school when that game got announced, Beyond Good and Evil 2, and then they finally showed it off a couple years ago, and they finally like announced like, yeah, we happening. And then last year they showed it off super hard. I was like, okay, that's cool. That's finally like back. Like we're back. Dodge the, oh shit. Okay, so those ones I can't dodge. Okay. But yeah, Beyond Good and Evil. No Beyond Good and Evil this year. No Rayman. No other more. I would say like storied or more like slightly, let's say like iconic Ubisoft stuff. But we'll see. Lack of Beyond Good and Evil makes me... Oh, yeah, I mean, I don't think delays. I think it's just from what they showed of what they were trying to make that game last year versus, like, for anyone who's played Beyond Good and Evil, like, the first game, is, like, pretty simple. So I don't know. I really don't know what they're aiming for that game to be. Like, I'm all for, like, a big, like, I'm all for more deaths. That's what I'm about. You know what? I think we're gonna be big dirty cheaters. Hold on. We're gonna just hold on. I'm gonna do a little something here. Wait, did I do that right? Oh, that's not the right thing. No one saw that. That one right. Left, right. There we go. Hey, let's just have a nice relaxing stream. Now, no one saw those inputs at all. Oh, this is terrible. Yeah, so I just jacked up the game basically, but I just want to get to these levels to show you guys because it is a weeknight and my setup is still not ideal currently. I need, in an effort to play with no sound and still with input lag, here we are. But yeah, Beyond Good and Evil. Not being there was weird, but and then they showed that weird like rollerball sports game at the end where like I feel like Ubisoft does that every once in a while where they're like bring out this crazy weird game at the end where like this is our new idea, and it looked neat, but I feel like a lot of them also mildly tend to fall a little flat when that happens, and like I don't know, like I watched that, I'm like that's cool, I don't know. But yeah, I think Ubisoft still got some cool stuff. This was an okay show. I feel like they've never had a show that's made me go like, oh my god. But except for last year when they finally started to show off Beyond Good and Evil. But I feel like that's probably one of those cases where it's like, well, if there's nothing to show, why would they show it? I'm just curious about how that game is going to turn out. But that also made me think because of the aesthetic. Hey, in the Xbox One, I forgot to mention good old Cyberpunk. That looks kind of cool. I was originally, admittedly, not very interested in that game. Not that I don't like Cyberpunk stuff, but I never played any of the Witcher games. A lot of people tell me I should play The Witcher 3. I might actually get to do that soon because, or get into doing that soon because I would kind of like to see how CD Projekt Red does their games, even though I know there's like a bunch of lore and other stuff that I've missed in The Witcher. Yeah, exactly. That's the whole point. It's just like, but then Keanu came out at the end. I'm not gonna lie, I got sold on the product. I'm gonna consume product now. The big paid product consume man made me consume product. That's fine. I'm okay with it. No, Cyberpunk does look cool. I'm always down for something with weird, crazy future aesthetic stuff like that. Especially with RPGs. Like, man, I a few years ago, or well, a while back, I guess, I tried to play System Shock on my PC. That did not go very well because the original System Shock is a DOS game from like '94, and that is way beyond my patience and knowledge of like a PC game I can try and sit through, even with like mods and other stuff. And then I tried to play System Shock 2 a while back, and I didn't get that. And then I have, to the disdain of many, I have played a couple of the Deus Ex games, and the first one's a little old, but okay, and I never gave it a full chance. But I really tried to get into Human Revolution, which is the one that a lot of people were like, yeah, try that one. I don't know if I was playing that game wrong. I'm going to assume I was because I don't have a huge history with Western RPGs. Sometimes I don't play them correctly in terms of I don't know what do. Which is like, I love all the settings and like stuff like that. But I did not get very far in Deus Ex Human Revolution, and I did not like it very much. But I leave that as a game that I feel like there's something I'm missing, and I put that in that pile, the same as like all the other weird like futurist cyberpunky games. So we will see. I don't know, maybe someday soon I'll give it another chance. That'd be a fun game for me to stream and embarrass myself with. But I haven't done too many RPGs so far, because it's just like that these things that take time. But yeah, Cyberpunk. That's one I forgot to mention from Microsoft, because I was like, they showed that off again there. That looks cool. I'm down to give that a try. But yeah, I'd like to try The Witcher 3, mostly for the sense of like getting a feel of, you know, how does like CD Projekt design their games, etc. Like what's this maybe gonna feel like for me. But people seem to like them, and I think, you know, going back to PC store stuff, they're like some of the people who are in charge of like GOG. So like that's kind of cool, because that's like a whole big thing with people having like DRM free games and stuff, and like that's cool. But yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But that was another big one. I think Keanu and his memes. I'm all for that. Okay, we left them on Ubisoft, and then oh yeah, Square Enix. Man, okay. Square, I think, really killed it off with, you know, Final Fantasy VII was obviously their big thing, which for me for a while I was starting to like meme / joke about the fact that it's like we hadn't heard a thing about FF7 in like a couple years, and then we got the original trailer, we got like one more after that, and then like dead silence. Like I remember when that first got announced, like 2015, 16, I think, and I was like, I get it. As a massive Kingdom Hearts fan, I would have much rather them focused on Kingdom Hearts completely than say a word about Final Fantasy VII. Like, get one big thing out at a time. Don't try to juggle 10 balls in one hand. Like, take your time. That is fine. But it was still mildly concerning, because it was like, you know, if there's no news, there's no news, but you still want to hear like, is this thing coming out? And then, you know, very recently, and I think it was the PlayStation. It was PlayStation has started to do like their own Nintendo Direct. It's not PlayStation Experience. It's like, what is it called? Whatever they're calling it, it's like their own version of a Nintendo Direct now. So that's cool that they're like on that train of like giving information dumps every once in a while. And like, I think all companies could benefit from that, even with E3, even though Nintendo is like leaned into it super hard. But yeah, FF7 looks great. We saw some of our girls finally. That's great. Combat looks fun. I'm all for action RPG stuff. Everything about it looks great. We saw the crazy special editions. Oh yeah, yeah. No, we'll talk about the rest of the Square releases in a second. But yeah, no. Overall, I think 7 looks really good. I'm very excited to eventually get to try that. I will say though, I get what they're going for in making this like the most biggest, let's use everyone's favorite, epic thing ever. But at the same time, I think I am not a fan of going for an episodic release. I know Final Fantasy 15, as much as I enjoyed that game, and some people didn't, that game had a lot of problems, and that game had an infinite stream of DLC for like 2 or 3 years. I want to go back and play that game since I only played it in vanilla version, but I have this problem with FF7 Remake in that like every time I see it, it looks better and I want to play it, and then I realize the fact that it's an episodic game, and even if it's like the best thing ever, I am still gonna have to wait, you know, however much longer for part 2 and 3. I think they said they are doing 3 parts. I'm not sure. And it's like, I get it. This is a big game. Even part 1 that we're getting is apparently 2 Blu-ray discs worth of like stuff. Wild. Like that's insane. Like that is literally like a throwback to like the PlayStation days where, you know, PS1 where you had multiple discs for an RPG. Like I was talking about Panzer Dragoon Saga earlier. Like that's a 4-disc game. We're gonna have to pop some discs out on screen when we, or excuse me, on stream when I actually start to play that. Like that was cool. But God, this boss is taking a long time. Oh, I think it's because I need to destroy the arms. That was why that was taking so long. I did not do this boss right. Oh well. Good thing we're on fun mode now. But real nice to actually kind of just kick back with this. But yeah, we'll see how it turns out. I'm sure me getting to finally play it, I will love the game. But man, I don't know. The game being episodic to me feels weird because I already know how this game ends. Millions of people know how this game ends. Yes, this is going to be a new, new super fresh way to experience this whole game, deeper looks into everything. Like the fact that like even the minor characters who, yeah, hey, spoilers for this like 20-year-old game, a lot of those minor characters don't get too attached to them, but the fact that they like gave them voice acting and like gave them a lot more personality and stuff is like, okay, like they're obviously going for, you know, a much more personal vibe. Hey, we finally beat this boss, don't tell anyone. Yeah, the fact that they're trying to go for like a more personal vibe, that's cool. And like they're going in depth, I'm all for it. Oh, there's the big bad red dragon. Oh no. We'll see what happens with it, but I still feel weird about it being. Oh yeah, my title. Yeah, I didn't change that. I should probably go back and change that, but that's okay. Actually, no, it's not. Yeah, I saw there was like the trailer. Let me actually change my title now. This game doesn't have much longer to it, but let me see here. See if I can actually change my name. Say my name. Okay, let me pause my game really quick here. I do that. Thank you, young veggie smuggler, for letting me know which game I am on right now. Star Fox Adventure. We are playing Panzer Dragoon. Category is not Star Fox Adventures. It is Panzer Dragoon. It has been like a million months since I streamed, and that is okay. Maybe next time I'll be able to hear my own audio. There we go. That should be set up right for all you stream friends. Alright, let's roll. Anyway, yeah, Final Fantasy VII looks great. I'll probably end up buying it. I'm still not a fan of the episodic format, but I think I'm willing to give the first game a chance. Whereas it's like, if they can sell me on if you can sell me on this game being episodic, then I'll do it. I'll do it, and then when the PlayStation 5 is near the end of its life, I will buy the Game of the Decade Complete Edition that has everything that you're trying to sell me, and then I'll have it all in one place. And like that's one of those cases where it's like I might even be convinced, where it's like, you know, for those who know me, like collecting games is my thing. I like to have hard copies, but I've become open to the concept of like digital games and having games in a digital space where it's like a game that's episodic like that. I could be convinced to buy it digitally and then wait for like the everything version someday, you know, when I want a hard copy. So that seems cool. But lots more at Square though. Hey, yeah, Square had a pretty big show with a lot of things that we kind of already knew, but even just like seeing them all confirmed and get like release date. That's another thing. Hold on, I was just gonna say release dates. We'll keep talking about Square, but you know what was nice this E3? A lot of games had release dates. You didn't like. Not everything did, but you had a lot of things that were like coming 2019 of this month, or like coming in early 2020, or even like Cyberpunk had a release date. Other big games had release dates, or at least release windows, and like I feel like in the past that was not a thing. Final Fantasy VII, they dropped that release date right with the trailer. They were like March 3rd, 2020, and I was like, those are solid, hard date numbers, and those are always subject to change, but it's just, I think that's something that's gotten a little nicer that I've noticed in recent years, is like we don't see a lot of like coming soon, or like when is this coming out? I don't know. So that's just, that was a nice little quality of life thing, I think. But yeah, Square had a bunch of other things that had like, you know, release dates and just general like launch window stuff, and I think that was cool. Let's see, what other things can I remember from the Square show? We had they announced Crystal Chronicles. That's cool. That was already announced, but much like how I was talking about when I started, like how I kind of forgot about the Panzer Dragoon remakes, and I like shelved that in the back of my head. I'm blanking out right now. Yeah, I remembered that Crystal Chronicles had got announced for a remake, but I was like, oh yeah, Crystal Chronicles. And then I don't know how this is gonna work, but it seemed like they were implying that you can download like an app or something, and if you're playing on Switch or PS4, if you don't have enough controllers or whatever, you can use your phone as like the Game Boy Advance, like how you did back in the day. If that works like in a very neat way, I think that's quite interesting, and I would like to see more games try little simple things. You know what everyone has, as the developers of Diablo Immortal would like you to remind or be reminded of? Everyone has a phone. Don't you have a phone? Yeah, no. In all seriousness, that was cool. There were a bunch of other cool ports and stuff. Some of the Saga games, like Romancing Saga 3 and Saga Scarlet Grace, those are coming over to Switch. That's cool. Those are all those weirdo RPGs that maybe I'll share one of those one day that really focus heavily on like picking different characters, kind of like Octopath style, like Octopath Traveler, but more, I don't know, just different takes on it. Those are cool. And like I think the original creators, a lot of those guys still work at Square and like try to push them whenever they can every once in a while. I don't know, the Saga games are fun. Let me see what else. Off the top of my head, obviously Dragon Quest stuff. Dragon Quest Builders, Dragon Quest 11, little stuff we knew about. I'm excited for the Switch port on that. I think that, what else? Not too much else from Square. They showed I think the big thing for them at the end, like I'm sure if someone showed me a list, it's like, okay, what am I excited about for Square? I can tell you which of the things check off my list. But they showed their Marvel game, or their Avengers game. It's like, I think it looked cool. I think I'd want to try it. I was talking to a friend earlier online, and I was just saying how I thought that it was kind of funny, and I think most people kind of realize this, whereas it's like right as the MCU started to like get big and be a thing, the Marvel video games as a whole, for the most part, kind of dipped off in quality and almost stopped existing for like a good chunk of time. And it's like, I think that kind of sucks, because it's like, man, the time in which you would like most want to have your games be like big and out there, it just wasn't happening. So I think that's really interesting. But it's cool that now we've had like more quality stuff. Like the new Spider-Man game I've actually wanted to try for a while. Like I've heard that was really good. And then this new game from Crystal Dynamics, published by Square, like that seems like a big to-do thing. And even though you only get to play as a handful of characters, I don't know if you can unlock more. They've seem to be putting the quality behind the game, and I think it's been just like a while since we've had some really fun, I guess it's like superhero games. So we'll see. I think the most notable ones were definitely like the Batman games this last generation. Like don't sleep on those. And so, yeah, no, that's what I was gonna comment on, is that with Avengers, it was like, yeah, obviously they can't pay for like everyone's face. Like the minute that came on stream, I mean, like obviously it's because those movies are so iconic right now that it's like, oh, hey, that's not Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans, and you know that's not the Squad. It's like these are different faces, but then I really had to think back. I'm like, no, that was just video games and how we used to do that back in the day with superhero games. Like that's just how that was. Like it was kind of fun. It was like, oh yeah, there used to be more like side properties to comics like that. Like that was like I never had that feeling like when I played the Batman like Arkham games. Like, which, you know, side note, those have definitely been holding down like superhero games, I think, for the past while. I mean, we've had other random ones here and there, but it was like there was the original Iron Man movie, and then the tie-ins to that. I remember people saying like those games were really bad. And, like, there were a few for like the Marvel Phase 1 movies, and then when those were like shit awful because like Sega had some weird deal and they like put it out to a bunch of like really low tier like B-list developers. It just didn't pan out well. It's like you had a bunch of bad ones, and you had Marvel vs. Capcom 3 and some cool like Capcom fighting releases, which are now like impossible to come by on digital stores. They took them all down. Those died off, and then it's like now you've had just like this weird stream of like subpar to just like non-existent or just like not very good. So we finally made it to the crazy tower at the end of Panzer Dragoon, by the way. I haven't even been talking about this game. I just kind of wanted to show it off. I'll let this cutscene roll though. But yeah, we've made it to the big bads at the end. Dragon knows where to go. There's just not much to talk about in these levels, though. It's pretty simple. Episode 6, the final level. And then there's the final boss after this, where you fight Big Bad Dark Dragon. But we'll get there in a second. As we chase him. Let's go. Let's see, where was I even rambling with? I think it's nice. We're getting superhero games again. I think Spider-Man, with how good people are saying that is, has set a precedent. So I hope games like that come out and keep being good. You know, hope we can get some more good Batman games. Like I said, those were fun. I really enjoyed the original Arkham Asylum. That was good. I've had City sitting around for the longest time, and I only played a couple hours, but that also felt good. Let's see. I think that was most of what Square had to show. I have one or two other things from them to talk about. But we'll talk about it in a second. But yeah, so then finally rounding off my E3 chatter over Panzer Dragoon, kind of bringing it back to Nintendo. Yeah, Nintendo, I think, though, everyone knows Switch has been doing good. Nintendo is always like off in their own corner at this point, just like doing their own thing. But I don't think it's a shortcoming to say they really like knocked it out of the park with announcements this E3. Like they just had like game after like they have their directs down to a science. That is the thing. Like Sony's like I can't even remember the name. That's how weird it is. But like PlayStation trying to do that now. Like God, what if someone has the kindness in them to put it in the chat? Look up what are PlayStation's like Nintendo Directs that they're doing now called, because their first couple they did were really awkward and slow, but the recent one they did where they put out the Final Fantasy VII trailer, that ended up being really good. So I don't know, but yeah, whatever they're called, but Nintendo has the Directs down to a science now. Whether it's stuff you want to see or not, they know what to do. You know, they can move from one big CEO to another. Hey, first E3, let's see, since like 2010 that we haven't seen the 3DS. That was one major thing to note. There were no 3DS games this E3, which there shouldn't be. People have been bitching about that for a while, and I've kind of been sick of it because I really liked the 3DS when it was, you know, hot in its time. But with Switch as like the main new overlord for everything, because it's also handheld, I think finally putting the 3DS out the pasture is a good thing. But you know, if there were still cool things with like the Persona Labyrinth games, or like maybe like a later generation of Pokemon or like other stuff like that, I think if they had that to show it off, they had the right to show those. So it's just like, I don't know. I think people getting overtly mad about those is kind of like, okay, come now. Like, don't get too salty about that. But yeah, first E3 since 2010, if you want to go back to reveals, which, you know, the legendary 2010. No 3DS. You know, goodbye, old friend. Many good times were had. But yeah, no 3DS. But also, more importantly, you know, we all knew this, but still another thing that kind of didn't like hit till it hit. 15 years, no Reggie. Not as weird as maybe, you know, what I would have thought. I think, you know, the unfortunate passing of, you know, Iwata and stuff like that. That's more of a thing. It's like, yeah, well, people are gonna change the spots here. That is what it is. But yeah, no Reggie at the C3. That was a weird one. But I think, again, Nintendo having the directs down to a science also fills in the role of like Doug Bowser's CEO man. Yeah, his body was not Reggie for his body was not Reggie. Excuse me, his body was not ready for Banjo and Smash. No one's was, but yeah, he was out there. But I think Doug Bowser's CEO man. I think him doing that little cute bit in the beginning was like, okay, that's cute. You know your role. I'm sure they interviewed him to be like, hey man, can you do some dumb personal skits? That's part of this job by now that this guy is kind of made for the last 15 years. Oh, look, Wait, it's flying into the evil tower. It's coming out. What's he gonna do? And it's just like, hold on, let's go back to Panzer for a second. Let's look at this shit. What the fuck's even going on here? Like, yeah, you're fighting to go and stop this evil dark dragon because bad shit's gonna happen if they capture your cool blue dragon friend. But like, holy moly, this game is just getting wild. Look at now, it's huge, big boy. And it's like, I love the art design. I am so ready to see this. Not running at a choppy frame rate and also like in HD. It's gonna be beautiful. I'm glad y'all at least get to hear this game. I do like the soundtrack for this game. I think it's more like orchestral and like kind of bombastic setting. Composition is great. It's a wild game. But anyway, as we fight this final boss, we'll finish this E3 roundup with the celebration of talking about Nintendo stuff. But yeah, let's see. So what's his face? Doug Bowser Man came out, and that was cool. But yeah, so they started off Dragon Quest and Smash. I know not everyone was like super hype on that in the beginning. And it's like now, hold on. You gotta, all you silly Westerners, you gotta eat your vegetables before you get to your dessert. But no, honestly, I am like, as much as people are also gonna bemoan like more anime swordsmen, like these are the anime swordsmen I want. Like Fire Emblem, whatever, man. Like for me, Dragon Quest that was like one of the first RPG series I played as a kid. So seeing them, and Dragon Quest is way bigger than this here. Even if it is like one of the highest selling RPG series of all time, that is Japan strong. Like that is just what that is. But regardless, I think seeing Dragon Quest as another major third party for Smash, I think it's amazing. I think the way they did it was cool, because it's like, I thought they were going to show off some villain or like a stage hazard or something as like a giant dragon or like one of the final bosses, but it's like, nah, the guy from 11 got knocked down, and then the guy from 8 came in, and then the hero from 4 came in, and I love how they've leaned. That's like only like Bowser Jr. has that many costumes for the Koopa kids and stuff. So I was like, okay, that's cool. Also, I know I am being lazy as poo with this boss because I am now on like, relaxed streamer mode for this fight, but like actually having to do this fight live like, with no breaks is kind of wild. This is a fun last boss fight, but you really got to take some of the dodges in stride. And that's where I think this game starts to show some of its flaws, because you don't really have a way to like dodge and reflect properly in here. You just gotta kind of gotta do it as best you can. Like when he whips his tail around, you gotta like move as high as you can up on the screen, but it doesn't exactly feel the greatest sometimes. So I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, put a cap on that. Dragon Quest and Smash. Pretty hype, especially because they pretty much like the final Smash is Mega Man said, "Hey, we did it! We beat Panzer Dragoon! Oh yeah!" Oh, but we're not done yet. We still got a friend here. Wait, are we done yet? I forget. I forget if you have to fight it once per time. Nope, we don't. We good. Goodbye, friend. Boom. We out. Anyway, Nintendo had a lot of cool announcements. God, I don't know if I'm going to be able... I guess they'll cap this as things roll at the end. Dragon Quest is great. Ooh, Seeker. I got the rest. That's cool. Dragon Quest is great. What was it? I'm losing my train of thought here because I actually finished this game. Oh wait, did it just finish? Okay, hold on. So because we're in super babby casual mode tonight, I'm going to roll some of the different endings for y'all. So how do I do that? Dragon only mode, infinite continuous, invincibility, new weapons. Hold on a second. Okay, so give me a second, then we'll keep talking. I just want to make sure you guys see this cool ending too. So I would have had to play hard mode to get this ending. So let me actually reset my Sega Saturn so it clears the game. Can I make sure I do this up right? That was a great startup screen. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, boy, what did God? Nintendo announced so much stuff. They had a great stream though. They announced a lot of Mana games. Those are another fun RPG series we haven't seen in like a long time. So it's more Square love. Let me see. Okay, so the start game. There we go. Hey, congratulations. We beat the game. That's what we did. We did this in the worst way possible. That's okay. I think that's... There's not much of an ending to this either is the thing. Like... Hello? 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 Oh, never mind. I'm talking. I was looking at a different audio input. But yeah, so this is what happens when you beat the game on the highest difficulty. You get this weird-ass, like, flying through Microsoft Windows 95 screensaver thing. My skill in hard mode deserves a reward. What is that reward? I don't even remember what happens in this video. I've done this before, the hard, like the actual true way. And I don't... The secret mode is... Now at your disposal. Oh yeah, and then there's just like other modes and things you can mess with in this game. Anyway, I don't know. Lots of E3 stuff, fun stuff this week. But hey, Panzer Dragoon. Let's roll back to that now that we're at Nintendo. So this, and that I think that's pretty much it. Like they just give you this code, which is like, excuse me, left right, LR up down left right. I forget what code that does. That I think unlocks. LR. Oh, wizard mode, which is like fast mode apparently. It's like hyperspeed mode. That's what this page is telling me. Well, there you go. Can I just, yeah, I guess I can't skip past. I don't know. It's just this weird video feed that you get at the end of this. But yeah, there's really actually not much to Panzer Dragoon 1 that we're sitting here. Like it's a simple game. You know, it was again launch game for the Sega Saturn. That's you know that dates it by a bit, but I think as a game that kind of tries to be more than it needs to, I really appreciate that. I think that the series as it evolved ended up being really cool, and I think it's a shame that it's just kind of one of the many series that lies in the coffers of Sega until like now, obviously. Oh god, are we just floating at this screen now? I hope not. Did I goof? Well, I don't know. We'll figure this out at some point. Maybe we'll just sit at this cool screensaver for a little bit. Hold on. Look something up here really quick. But yeah, this is still, it's a fun little game to run through. Obviously, I think I need I foolishly enough should have, okay, there we go. I foolishly enough should have double checked my setup, but hey, that's streaming for you. I am glad that everyone has gotten to, I'll let this like roll it in. I love this little dancing Sega logo, by the way. That's my favorite thing. But I'm glad everyone at least got to hear the game, because that's what matters most, is you guys getting to hear it. My stream for the second Panzer Dragoon will be much more higher quality, I will say. I will triple check everything and make sure that I can hear and you can hear, and I don't know, maybe I'll get my TV set up, because the way that this is going, but I would need an audio split and stuff there too, so that might be weird. It's a little rough tonight. I'll let this trailer roll at the end, but so the access and how you would get this game now, again, is like, you could get it on the Saturn. Like, it's not one of the most expensive games on the system, but like its pedigree behind it, and like it being like one of like the de facto, like, getting a Saturn, get Panzer Dragoon, it's kind of uncommon and pricey, but there you go. Like, I think this goes for like 40-50 bucks now. I got this for like $10 when I first bought it a long time ago, because back then everyone was like, oh, just get Panzer Dragoon 2, that's a better game. I was like, no, I want to try the whole series because of the Xbox version. So it's, I think this version of the game shot up in price a little bit when it got announced for backwards compatibility on the Xbox One. I think nowadays this runs around like $40, but still compared to like the prices of the Saturn games, when you consider that you get 2 whole games in here, you get a version of Panzer Dragoon 4, so Orta, that can be run on like 4K and like super up-res on the Xbox One. That's really cool, and you can unlock the original on this as well. It's like a 2-for-1 deal. I think that's pretty solid and cool. So if you're interested currently in trying this game yourself, which I think everyone should give it a shot, it's a fun series to try and play through. It's on Xbox One, but on Switch we did get the remake confirmed and announced, and that's another way you could access it, so that'll be coming out soon, so keep your eyes out for that. Jeez. Well, this was kind of a short stream. I mean, I knew that was what I wanted to do because this is a short game. It's not much. It's not like Star Fox where there's like different paths and different dialogue. It's Panzer Dragoon. It's a simple shooter. But I really like this game. I think this game's strengths of world building and all that other good juicy stuff that not a lot of shooters try to do. Does anything happen if I go to control setting? Okay, no, I thought there was another menu in this game. I think I'm thinking of Panzer Dragoon 2. There's like a whole menu setting where you can like see all your unlocks and different stuff. But yeah, I think this game and like its aesthetic and everything that it presents is really cool because it's like more than maybe needs to be there for a game like this, but I'm glad it's there. I get really big vibes of Shadow of the Colossus and Ico when I play this game, or Last Guardian now too, I guess. But yeah, I get vibes of that, and just like how the fact that it's this weird kind of future world, but it's also sort of like run down and fantasy, but it's not like medieval high fantasy. It's very like just weird. And that's why I think I'm so drawn to this game and like why I love it so much. So hopefully the remakes at least kind of ignite people's interest in the series, because I think that I think it's a series that deserves a little more love. I think rail shooters too have been kind of quiet for a while in like a bigger sense. Like even not everyone likes Star Fox Zero. I really like that game, but I know exactly why a lot of people didn't like that game, and I don't blame them for it either. So it's just kind of like a lot of the series that were once like kind of staples, like, whether or not they were good, they just kind of faded away because they were just maybe not as popular or just not handled well. Whether people who make them, people who publish and market these things, but these things, they happen. Anyway, well, it's actually been kind of a short one, but it is a weekday. That's Panzer Dragoon. I think for now, I am probably going to step off because, I figured this would be a short one. My setup is also being a little goofy with my sound, so thankfully y'all have been able to hear the game. But we will be doing, I'm actually going to be doing Panzer Dragoon 2, and with that I may actually use that as an excuse to, once I get it all set up right, to stream Saga, because I think more people need to know about that game, and with how hard it is to come by, I think having just like archived footage of it online from more people would be a good thing. So, but with that, I will wish everyone a good night for now. Quick, easy night of a stream. Just glad I got to share this game because I do love it. I will just have you guys just stay tuned for updates on, when I'll do it next. I have no calendar planned, because right now, let's see, like next week I'm going to visit my family in Mexico, so I'll be gone for a week, but probably before this month ends, I will do Panzer Dragoon 2, and then maybe we'll just spend all of July doing Saga. That could be a fun little project to do. But anyway, everyone have a good night. Thanks for stopping by and sitting with me as I ramble on about E3 and show off one of my favorite games, even if it was very poorly played. But at least you got to see Panzer Dragoon, a very very amazing Sega Saturn launch title. Anyway, everyone have a good night, take it easy, and I will see y'all next time with a fully kink ironed out setup this time. So, have a good night, everyone. Take it easy. I'll see y'all later. Bye.